What if the secret to building stronger, more fulfilling relationships has been around for over 2,000 years? Imagine being able to handle conflicts with grace, communicate with clarity, and truly understand the people closest to you, all by following principles laid out by ancient philosophers. Welcome to the transformative world of Stoicism, a timeless philosophy centered on self-control, rationality, and living a virtuous life. While it may seem like an old, dusty concept from the past, Stoicism offers powerful, practical tools that can completely reshape how we connect with others in today's modern world. From navigating emotional challenges to building trust and empathy, Stoic principles provide a roadmap for healthier, deeper, and more meaningful relationships. In this video, we're going to explore 15 impactful ways that Stoicism can improve your relationships, equipping you with insights and strategies to create stronger bonds with loved ones, friends, and even colleagues. So stick around, because these lessons from ancient wisdom might just change the way you approach your connections forever. Now, turning to the first way Stoicism can transform your relationships, let's talk about practicing emotional equanimity. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the idea that we cannot control external events, only our responses to them. By embracing this principle, we can cultivate a sense of calm and balance, even in challenging situations. Imagine a disagreement with your partner where emotions are running high. Instead of reacting impulsively or letting anger take over, Stoicism teaches us to pause, reflect, and respond with reason rather than emotion. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, advised, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This approach not only reduces unnecessary tension but also fosters healthier, more constructive communication. For instance, when a loved one says something hurtful in the heat of the moment, instead of retaliating or escalating the conflict, you could remind yourself that their words are a reflection of their state of mind, not your worth. By staying composed, you can diffuse the situation and create space for meaningful dialogue rather than a battle of egos. Practicing emotional equanimity doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but rather managing them in a way that serves both you and your relationships better. It's about recognizing that while emotions are natural, they don't have to control us. This level of emotional stability not only strengthens trust and respect, but also sets the tone for more harmonious and understanding interactions with the people closest to you. Now, turning to techniques for emotional control, a cornerstone of Stoicism is the practice of mindfulness, which helps in managing emotions effectively. Mindfulness involves staying present in the moment and observing your thoughts without judgment. For example, during a heated conversation with a loved one, instead of immediately reacting, you could take a deep breath and focus on your inner state. This pause can create just enough space to consider a response rooted in reason rather than emotion. Another Stoic-inspired technique is reframing negative thoughts. Imagine your partner cancels plans at the last minute. Instead of jumping to conclusions like feeling unimportant, you could reframe the situation by recognizing that they might be overwhelmed or dealing with their own challenges. This shift in perspective softens emotional reactions and fosters empathy. Recognizing emotional triggers is also vital. For instance, if certain words or behaviors consistently upset you, take time to reflect on why they affect you so strongly. This awareness can help you prepare for similar situations in the future, reducing the likelihood of an impulsive response. Stoicism encourages practicing gratitude as well. When emotions run high, shifting your focus to something you appreciate about the person can diffuse tension and remind you of the value they bring to your life. By integrating these techniques, pausing, reframing, recognizing triggers, and embracing gratitude, you not only strengthen your emotional resilience but also create a more thoughtful and nurturing foundation for your relationships. Moving forward, let's delve into the power of listening, a vital practice emphasized by Stoic philosophy. Stoicism encourages us to approach conversations with an open mind and to truly focus on the words being spoken without rushing to judgment or formulating our response while the other person is still talking. Epictetus, a well-known Stoic philosopher, famously pointed out that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so that we listen more and speak less. This simple yet profound idea reminds us of the importance of prioritizing understanding over being heard. Imagine a scenario where a friend or family member is sharing their frustrations with you. By actively listening, you make them feel valued and understood, which in turn deepens trust and emotional connection. Active listening is not just about hearing the words, it also involves observing tone, body language, and even the emotions behind the message. When you concentrate on understanding the full context of what someone is expressing, you create space for empathy to grow and for relationships to flourish. Stoicism teaches us to set aside our own biases and judgments to give others the respect of being truly heard. By applying this principle, we can strengthen our bonds with loved ones and foster a sense of harmony that is built on mutual respect and understanding. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let's explore the common barriers to active listening and how Stoic principles can help us overcome them. Distractions are one of the biggest obstacles to truly hearing someone. Whether it's the constant pull of notifications on our phones or our own wandering thoughts, these distractions pull us away from fully engaging in conversations. Stoicism teaches us the importance of focusing on the present moment, and this can be applied to our interactions with others. The next time you find yourself drifting away during a conversation, pause and gently bring your attention back to the person speaking. Think of this as a form of mindfulness, a practice of cultivating presence and awareness. Another barrier is preconceptions. Often, we approach conversations with preconceived notions about what the other person will say or what their intentions might be. These assumptions can cloud our judgment and prevent us from truly understanding their perspective. To counter this, Stoicism encourages us to adopt a beginner's mindset, where we approach each interaction as if we are learning something new. By doing so, we open ourselves up to seeing the situation more clearly and without bias. Impatience is yet another challenge. In our fast-paced lives, we may feel an urge to rush through conversations or interrupt others to share our own thoughts. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on the practice of patience. The philosopher Seneca reminds us that patience is not only a virtue but also a skill we can develop. Try taking a deep breath whenever you feel the urge to interrupt, and remind yourself that understanding takes precedence over simply being heard. By incorporating these Stoic-inspired practices into daily life, remaining present, letting go of assumptions, and practicing patience, you can become a more attentive listener. This not only enhances your ability to connect with others on a deeper level, but also fosters mutual respect and understanding, essential elements in any meaningful relationship. As the next challenge unfolds, let's delve into the importance of practicing self-awareness and how Stoicism emphasizes knowing oneself to build healthier relationships. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the belief that self-awareness is essential for personal growth and harmony with others. When we take the time to recognize our own flaws and triggers, we gain a clearer understanding of how our actions and emotions influence those around us. For example, imagine a situation where someone's comment irritates you. Instead of reacting impulsively, a Stoic approach would encourage you to pause and reflect on why their words provoked such a strong response. Is it tied to an insecurity or a past experience? By identifying the root cause, you not only avoid an unnecessary argument, but also begin addressing the deeper issue within yourself. This is the power of self-awareness. It shifts the focus inward, allowing us to take responsibility for our behavior rather than projecting our frustrations onto others. Similarly, Stoicism teaches us to examine our expectations in relationships. Often, Conflicts arise when we impose unrealistic standards on loved ones, expecting them to act or think in ways that align with our personal ideals. Marcus Aurelius, a renowned Stoic philosopher, advises us to remember that people act according to their nature, not ours. By recognizing this, we can adjust our expectations and approach others with greater understanding and compassion. Reflecting on our own patterns of behavior is also critical. Are there recurring moments where miscommunication or resentment occurs? Taking the time to honestly evaluate these patterns helps us break cycles of negativity and improve our interactions. Practicing self-awareness doesn't mean being overly critical of oneself. It's about observing without judgment and using that insight to foster growth and authenticity. When we bring this level of awareness into relationships, we create space for genuine connection and mutual respect. By knowing ourselves better, we can communicate more effectively, resolve conflicts with greater ease, and ultimately strengthen the bonds that matter most. Now turning to the practice of daily reflection, this is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy that not only enhances self-awareness but also nurtures stronger relationships. A daily habit of self-reflection allows us to step back and evaluate our actions, emotions, and interactions, creating a clearer picture of how we contribute to the dynamics in our relationships. One effective method is journaling. At the end of each day, take a few moments to write down your thoughts about any significant experiences or challenges you faced in your relationships. Ask yourself reflective questions like, how did I react to others today? Were my actions guided by patience and understanding? What could I have done differently? This exercise is not about self-criticism, but about gaining clarity and accountability. Another approach is to review your day mentally before going to sleep. Think about specific interactions that stood out. Did you handle a disagreement with a loved one in a way that aligns with your values? Were there instances where your emotions got the better of you? By calmly analyzing these moments, you identify patterns that may need attention and areas for growth. For example, if you notice a recurring tendency to interrupt others during conversations, this awareness enables you to address it and foster better communication. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this form of reflection, regularly examining his thoughts and actions to ensure they were aligned with his principles. By incorporating such a routine into your life, you create a space for mindfulness and intentionality in your relationships. Over time, this practice builds a deeper understanding of yourself and how you interact with others, paving the way for meaningful and harmonious connections. As self-awareness grows, so does your ability to bring authenticity and empathy into your relationships, strengthening them from the inside out. Moving forward, let's explore how accepting others' imperfections can lead to greater compassion and harmony in our interactions. Now turning to the importance of accepting others' imperfections, this concept is deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy and serves as a powerful tool for building stronger, more harmonious relationships. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control while letting go of unrealistic expectations about others. People are not perfect, nor can they always meet the standards we set for them. By accepting this truth, we free ourselves from frustration and disappointment. Imagine being upset because a friend forgot your birthday or a partner left dishes in the sink. These situations, while annoying, do not necessarily reflect a lack of care or love. Instead of letting these moments fuel resentment, practicing acceptance helps us reframe them with compassion. Instead of asking, "Why can't they do this right?" we might ask, "How can I approach this with understanding?" Marcus Aurelius reminds us to remember that others' actions stem from their own perceptions, struggles, and habits, not from any intention to harm us. Viewing others through this lens helps us see the humanity in their flaws rather than magnifying them. For example, if a coworker frequently interrupts during meetings, consider that they may be overly eager to contribute rather than intentionally ignoring your points. This perspective fosters patience and encourages empathetic communication. Similarly, in long-term relationships, partners may have habits that clash with our preferences, but expecting them to change completely only leads to tension. By focusing on their positive qualities, we nurture mutual respect. When we embrace others as they are, not as we wish them to be, we create space for authentic connections. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. Setting boundaries is still essential, but it does mean letting go of minor grievances for the sake of greater harmony. Acceptance, as Stoicism teaches, is not just an act of kindness toward others, but also a gift to ourselves. It eases the emotional burden of frustration and cultivates an environment of peace and cooperation, transforming our relationships into sources of joy and understanding. Moving forward, let's uncover how building compassion through acceptance can further strengthen our bonds with others. Moving forward, let's explore how building compassion through acceptance can deepen our connections with those around us. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic thinkers, urged us to approach others' flaws with understanding rather than judgment. He believed that by adopting a perspective of compassion, we not only help others feel valued but also enrich our own emotional well-being. Consider this: when someone close to us behaves in a way that frustrates or disappoints us, it's easy to focus on what they did wrong. However, practicing compassion encourages us to look beyond the surface and consider the broader context of their actions. Perhaps they were stressed, distracted, or acting on habits they haven't yet overcome. Instead of criticizing a loved one for forgetting an important date, we could remind ourselves that their forgetfulness might stem from being overwhelmed rather than a lack of care. Reframing situations in this way opens the door to empathy rather than conflict. To strengthen this practice, focus on their virtues rather than their shortcomings. For example, if a friend is always running late but is consistently supportive and kind, shift your attention to their loyalty and the joy they bring to your life. Stoicism reminds us that compassion begins with our thoughts. By deliberately choosing to see the good in others, we can let go of unnecessary frustration and create a space for mutual growth and understanding. This doesn't mean ignoring serious issues or enabling harmful behavior. Boundaries remain important, but it does mean being more selective about what we choose to dwell on. Consider keeping a mental or even written list of the qualities you admire in the people closest to you. When conflicts arise, revisit this list to remind yourself of their inherent worth. Practicing this simple habit not only fosters patience but also strengthens bonds by reinforcing the foundation of love and respect. In essence, building compassion through acceptance is about seeing others in their entirety, their flaws, their virtues, and their humanity. It is a gift that enriches relationships and brings us closer to living in harmony with the Stoic principles of understanding and empathy. With this in mind, let's turn our focus to another foundational Stoic teaching: the ability to prioritize virtue over criticism, and how this mindset can positively transform our interactions with others. Now, turning to the importance of focusing on virtue over criticism, we uncover one of Stoicism's most transformative teachings: the idea that the best way to influence others and strengthen our relationships is by embodying our own virtues rather than pointing out others' flaws. Instead of fixating on what we perceive as shortcomings in the people around us, Stoicism encourages us to look inward and ask, how can I act with integrity, kindness, and patience in this situation? When we prioritize living by our values, we naturally inspire others to do the same. Imagine this: if a family member speaks harshly during a disagreement, rather than reacting with equal harshness or criticizing their tone, respond with calmness and understanding. This approach not only diffuses the immediate conflict but sets a higher standard for communication moving forward. By demonstrating the very qualities we wish to see in others, whether it's honesty, empathy, or respect, we shift the focus from blame to constructive action, creating an environment where growth and connection can thrive. Epictetus, another renowned Stoic philosopher, reminds us that we cannot control other people's actions, but we can control our response to them. This insight is powerful because it places the responsibility for maintaining harmony within our own grasp. For example, instead of criticizing a friend who often interrupts, consider modeling attentive listening yourself. Over time, your behavior may encourage them to do the same without the need for confrontation. This is not about ignoring problems or avoiding accountability. It's about leading by example and fostering mutual respect. Practicing virtues like patience and kindness doesn't just improve how others perceive us, it also enhances our own sense of fulfillment and peace. Living in alignment with our values strengthens our character and makes our relationships more meaningful. So, the next time you find yourself tempted to criticize, pause and reflect on how you can demonstrate the virtues you hold dear. This simple shift in mindset can create profound ripple effects in the way we connect with and influence the people around us. Now, as we continue to explore these Stoic principles, let's delve into the liberating practice of letting go of expectations and how it can bring peace and balance to our relationships. Moving forward, let's explore how practicing virtues during challenging times can transform the tone of our relationships, even in situations that seem emotionally charged or difficult. Imagine being in the middle of an argument with a close friend where emotions are running high and harsh words are exchanged. In that moment, instead of reacting impulsively or defensively, take a pause and reflect on the virtues of patience and understanding. Responding with composure and empathy can completely shift the dynamic. Instead of escalating the tension, your measured response can help to escalate the situation, paving the way for mutual understanding and reconciliation. Think about another scenario. A colleague at work unfairly criticizes your contributions in a project meeting. While the natural reaction might be to lash out or defend yourself aggressively, a Stoic approach would involve practicing humility and focusing on constructive dialogue. By remaining calm and addressing their concerns with honesty and professionalism, you show a level of character that earns respect while keeping a healthy working relationship intact. In family settings too, these virtues shine. For instance, if a loved one falls short of your expectations or makes a mistake, instead of dwelling on disappointment, choose compassion. Remember that everyone is fallible, including ourselves. By offering forgiveness and support, you not only help them grow, but you also deepen the bond between you. Practicing Stoic virtues in such moments is not about suppressing your feelings or avoiding tough conversations. It's about choosing a path of integrity and wisdom that uplifts everyone involved. When we make a conscious effort to lead with kindness, patience, and honesty, the ripple effect is powerful. Not only do these virtues enhance the quality of our relationships, but they also create a space for others to feel safe, valued, and inspired to reflect those virtues back to us. This isn't always easy, especially during emotional or high-pressure moments, but it's in these very instances that Stoic principles can have the most profound impact. By anchoring ourselves in these virtues, we elevate not just our own character, but also the overall tone of our interactions. As we embrace this wisdom, let's move on to another freeing practice within Stoicism, letting go of expectations and how it can transform the way we connect with others. Now turning to the importance of letting go of expectations, this Stoic practice can be truly transformative in relationships. Often, we enter relationships with certain ideals or assumptions about how others should act, what they should say, or how they should respond to us. While it is natural to hope for specific behaviors from loved ones, clinging too tightly to these expectations can set us up for disappointment when reality does not align. Stoicism teaches us to release these unrealistic standards and focus instead on accepting others as they are. Imagine a scenario where a family member forgets an important date like your birthday. While it is understandable to feel upset, holding on to the expectation that they should have remembered might only fuel feelings of resentment. Instead, a Stoic approach would involve reframing the moment. By recognizing that forgetfulness is a universal human trait and that their love for you is not diminished by this oversight, you allow room for understanding and forgiveness. This shift in perspective helps preserve the harmony of the relationship rather than letting a single incident create unnecessary tension. Similarly, consider a romantic partnership where one person might not express affection in the way the other desires. Instead of focusing on what is lacking or trying to mold them into an idealized version of a partner, Stoicism encourages us to appreciate the ways they already show their care, even if it differs from our own preferences. This does not mean you cannot communicate your needs, but it does mean approaching the relationship with acceptance rather than rigid demands. Letting go of expectations is about freeing both ourselves and others from the pressure of perfection. It fosters mutual respect and creates a more peaceful dynamic, where individuals feel valued for who they truly are rather than who we think they should be. By releasing control over outcomes and embracing what is within our power, our mindset and actions, we create deeper, more authentic connections. And with this practice of acceptance, we set the stage for the next step in transforming relationships, replacing expectations with genuine understanding and gratitude. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us explore how replacing expectations with genuine understanding can transform relationships. Instead of fixating on what others are not providing or how they fall short of our envisioned ideals, Stoicism invites us to shift our focus toward appreciating what they do offer. This change in perspective begins with gratitude, a cornerstone of Stoic practice. One way to cultivate gratitude in relationships is to take a moment each day to reflect on the positive qualities of your loved ones. For instance, consider a friend who may not always text back promptly but is the first to stand by you in moments of need. Rather than dwelling on their delay in replying, express gratitude for their unwavering support during challenging times. Gratitude helps us recognize and value the strengths and intentions of others, allowing us to see the bigger picture rather than getting stuck on minor frustrations. Another powerful Stoic exercise to help build understanding is the practice of perspective taking. This involves intentionally imagining a situation from the other person's point of view. For example, if a partner forgets to compliment a meal you prepared, it could be easy to feel unappreciated. But by stepping into their perspective, you might realize they had a stressful day at work and were preoccupied, not out of disregard for your effort. Such empathy fosters compassion and reduces unnecessary conflict. Additionally, embracing the concept of shared humanity can deepen our relationships. Stoics remind us that everyone, including ourselves, is flawed and bound to make mistakes. By accepting this, we free ourselves from the cycle of blame and instead focus on shared growth. Replace "why didn't they do this" with "how can I better understand their actions?" This subtle shift enhances communication and nurtures mutual respect. Ultimately, replacing expectations with gratitude and understanding is not about lowering your standards but about aligning them with reality. It is about fostering a mindset that prioritizes appreciation over judgment and acceptance over control. With this framework, relationships thrive in an atmosphere of compassion and authenticity. And as we embrace these principles, we are naturally led to the next key practice in strengthening connections: gracefully handling criticism. Now turning to the next vital principle, handling criticism gracefully is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy that can profoundly impact our relationships. Criticism, whether from a partner, friend, or colleague, often stirs emotions like defensiveness or hurt. However, Stoicism teaches us to reframe criticism as an opportunity for growth rather than a personal attack. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, reminds us that if someone points out a mistake, it is a chance to learn and improve, not a reason to feel insulted. Imagine a situation where your partner comments that you seem distracted during conversations. Instead of reacting with frustration or denial, pause and consider whether there is truth in their observation. This moment of reflection allows you to approach the feedback constructively, showing your willingness to listen and grow. Such openness not only strengthens communication but also builds trust, as it demonstrates humility and respect for the other person's perspective. Another Stoic insight comes from Epictetus, who advises us to separate what is within our control from what is not. A critical remark may hurt initially, but we have control over how we respond. Instead of spiraling into defensiveness or counterattacks, we can choose to remain calm and evaluate whether the feedback is fair or helpful. Sometimes criticism reflects more about the person giving it than about us. Recognizing this prevents us from taking every remark to heart and keeps unnecessary tension at bay. For example, if a friend criticizes your decision to prioritize family time over a social outing, it might reveal their own unmet needs rather than a flaw in your choice. Understanding this allows you to respond with empathy instead of conflict. Handling criticism gracefully invites a shift from reacting to responding thoughtfully. It transforms moments of tension into opportunities for authentic dialogue and mutual understanding. This practice not only diffuses potential conflicts but also deepens respect and connection in all relationships. And as we learn to embrace criticism with grace, we can explore another essential skill that Stoicism offers: distinguishing useful criticism from the unhelpful. As the next phase of the journey unfolds, distinguishing useful criticism from unhelpful remarks is an essential skill that Stoicism equips us with. Not all criticism carries the same weight, and learning to identify what is constructive can prevent unnecessary conflicts while fostering personal and relational growth. The Stoics advise us to evaluate the intent and content of criticism calmly. Constructive criticism often comes from a place of care or a desire to help us improve, while toxic criticism tends to stem from negativity, jealousy, or unresolved issues within the critic. For example, if a colleague suggests a way to enhance a project, their feedback is likely constructive and worth considering. On the other hand, if someone mocks your efforts without offering any helpful input, their comments are likely unproductive and should not hold power over you. The key is to pause and reflect on whether the criticism aligns with your values and goals. Ask yourself questions like, does this feedback provide actionable advice? Is it delivered respectfully? Does it come from someone who has my best interests at heart? By answering these questions, you can sort valuable insights from baseless negativity. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to filter out noise that does not serve our growth. He reminds us that we are not obligated to accept every piece of feedback as truth. This mental discernment strengthens resilience and clarity, allowing us to focus on what truly matters. For instance, if a family member criticizes your career choice harshly, consider whether their critique is rooted in genuine concern or personal bias. If it is constructive, use it to reflect and improve. If not, acknowledge their opinion without internalizing it. Furthermore, when you recognize and act upon useful criticism, you send a powerful message to those around you that you respect their input and are committed to growth. This strengthens trust and encourages open communication within your relationships. At the same time, setting boundaries for toxic criticism protects your emotional well-being and prevents unnecessary strain. In separating the helpful from the harmful, you create space for self-improvement and deeper connections. As you master this practice of distinguishing criticism, Stoicism invites us to consider yet another transformative principle: the development of empathy to bridge gaps and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Now turning to the idea of developing empathy, Stoicism profoundly teaches us about the interconnectedness of all humanity. This philosophy emphasizes that we are deeply tied to one another, sharing similar struggles, desires, and imperfections. By recognizing this shared human experience, we open the door to viewing situations from another person's perspective. Imagine a scenario where a friend's harsh words come from a place of stress rather than malice. Instead of reacting defensively, practicing empathy allows you to pause and consider what they might be going through. This not only diffuses tension but also fosters deeper connection and understanding. The Stoics remind us that everyone is influenced by their own circumstances, upbringing, and challenges things we may not fully see or understand. By consciously stepping into their shoes, even if just for a moment, we shift our focus from judgment to compassion. For example, suppose your partner forgets an anniversary. Instead of immediately feeling hurt or ignored, empathy encourages you to reflect on the pressures or distractions they may be dealing with. Perhaps they are overwhelmed with work or personal struggles that you were unaware of. Such an approach not only prevents conflict but also opens the space for genuine communication and support. Seneca often spoke about giving others the benefit of the doubt, reminding us that people rarely act with the sole intent of harming us. Through empathy, misunderstandings transform into opportunities for connection, and grievances lose their sting. It's not about dismissing your feelings, but rather balancing them with a broader understanding of the other person's perspective. The beauty of empathy lies in its ability to create mutual respect and trust, which serve as the foundation for meaningful relationships. Beyond personal situations, applying empathy in group dynamics, whether at work, in friendships, or within family units, can bridge gaps and resolve tensions effectively. When you actively listen to others and try to understand their needs and emotions, you strengthen the fabric of your relationships. Empathy, as guided by Stoic principles, allows us to focus on shared humanity, turning moments of disconnection into pathways for unity. With empathy as a cornerstone of Stoic practice, the next step in building stronger relationships lies in taking full responsibility for our reactions, a transformative idea that empowers us to navigate conflicts constructively. Moving forward, let us delve deeper into practical ways to cultivate empathy following the timeless wisdom of Stoic teachings. A simple yet powerful exercise is to actively imagine yourself in another person's situation. Picture their challenges, fears, and hopes as if they were your own. For example, if a coworker seems uncharacteristically distant, instead of assuming they are uninterested or rude, take a moment to consider what pressures or concerns might be weighing on them. This mental shift not only softens your own assumptions but prepares you to approach them with kindness and understanding. Another Stoic-inspired method is to pause during moments of frustration and ask yourself, what would I hope for if I were in their position? This simple question can move mountains in transforming your perspective, replacing irritation with patience. For instance, when dealing with a child who is acting out, reflecting on their limited ability to regulate emotions can inspire a calmer and more empathetic response. Additionally, journaling about interactions at the end of the day can be invaluable. Reflect on moments when you may have been quick to judge and ask yourself how you might react differently in the future with greater empathy. Over time, such practices train your mind to naturally seek understanding rather than jumping to conclusions. Epictetus spoke of recognizing that anger or frustration we feel toward others often stems from our own expectations rather than their intent. By consciously lowering rigid expectations and focusing on compassion, we create space for empathy to thrive. Lastly, make use of what the Stoics refer to as the view from above. Imagine placing yourself above the situation, viewing it from a broader, neutral perspective. This helps strip away personal bias and reveals the shared experiences and struggles that unite all of us. These daily practices not only deepen your empathy but also strengthen the bonds you share with those around you. They transform everyday interactions into opportunities for understanding, mutual growth, and connection. With these tools, empathy becomes not just a concept but an active force shaping the way you engage with others. Building on this foundation of empathy, the next concept explores how taking responsibility for your reactions empowers you to create healthier and more harmonious relationships. Now turning to the importance of taking responsibility for your reactions, Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control the actions or words of others, we hold complete power over how we respond to them. This central tenet of Stoic philosophy emphasizes ownership of our own emotions and actions, rather than shifting blame onto external circumstances or people. Imagine a scenario where a friend cancels plans at the last minute. Instead of falling into frustration or resentment, a Stoic approach would be to recognize that their decision is outside your control, but how you choose to interpret and respond to it is entirely within your power. By taking a moment to pause and reflect, you can choose understanding over annoyance. Perhaps they needed rest or were dealing with an issue you're unaware of. This mindset not only shields you from unnecessary emotional turmoil, but also preserves the trust and respect within the relationship. Similarly, when disagreements arise, it's tempting to assign fault to the other person. The Stoics, however, would urge you to look inward and ask, is my reaction justified? Am I escalating the situation unnecessarily? For example, if your partner makes a comment that feels critical, pausing to evaluate your response can prevent a defensive outburst and open the door to constructive dialogue instead. By consistently practicing this discipline, you demonstrate emotional maturity and reliability, two qualities that strengthen any bond. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This inner strength is a cornerstone for navigating conflicts in a calm, thoughtful manner, breaking cycles of blame and defensiveness. When you take responsibility for your reactions, you set a tone of accountability and self-awareness in your relationships, inspiring others to do the same. This creates an environment of mutual respect and thoughtful communication, where conflicts become opportunities for growth rather than sources of division. Looking ahead, this sense of accountability leads naturally into the next Stoic principle: practicing patience, a virtue that calms misunderstandings and fosters deeper connections in all areas of life. Moving forward, recognizing and harnessing the internal power over our responses is a transformative practice deeply rooted in Stoicism. This philosophy teaches us that our reactions are not dictated by external events, but by the way we perceive and interpret them. Understanding this gives us the ability to reclaim control over our emotional and behavioral responses, even in challenging situations. For instance, when a loved one says something hurtful, the initial impulse might be to retaliate or withdraw. However, by pausing and asking yourself, what is within my control here, you create space to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This pause is where your true power lies. It allows you to shift from a mindset of victimhood to one of empowerment. Instead of focusing on how the other person has wronged you, you can choose a perspective that promotes understanding and resolution. Perhaps they are communicating their own frustrations or struggles poorly. By not taking their words at face value and instead approaching the situation with curiosity and composure, you can foster healthier dialogue and understanding. This approach not only diffuses tension but also sets a tone of patience and maturity in the relationship. Another powerful way to harness internal control is by reframing negative thoughts. When confronted with difficult behavior or circumstances, remind yourself that these do not have the power to define your emotional state unless you allow them to. For example, if a friend forgets your birthday, instead of feeling unappreciated, consider their intentions or possible reasons. They may be overwhelmed or simply forgot unintentionally. By choosing forgiveness or empathy over resentment, you strengthen the foundation of the relationship rather than letting it fray over perceived slights. Breaking cycles of blame or negativity starts with recognizing that emotions are temporary and they only hold power when we cling to them. Epictetus advised, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By internalizing this wisdom, you can navigate conflicts with grace and confidence, setting an example for those around you. When you master your responses, you create a ripple effect in your relationships. Your calmness invites calmness. Your understanding inspires understanding. This self-regulated approach not only enhances communication, but also builds an atmosphere of mutual respect and trust. With this foundation of recognizing internal power established, we now turn to the next virtue on our journey: practicing patience, a quality that transforms moments of frustration into opportunities for growth and connection. Now turning to the next essential virtue, let us delve into practicing patience, a cornerstone of Stoic wisdom that holds immense potential for transforming our relationships. Patience, at its core, is the ability to endure discomfort, delay, or difficulty without succumbing to frustration or anger. In the context of relationships, this virtue allows us to approach moments of tension and misunderstanding with a calm and composed mindset. Imagine a scenario where your partner is running late for an important event. The immediate reaction might be one of irritation, perhaps leading to criticism or an argument. However, practicing patience means pausing to reflect before reacting. Could there be a valid reason for their delay? Or perhaps, could this moment be an opportunity to practice understanding rather than judgment? By choosing to wait calmly instead of lashing out, you prevent the situation from escalating and create space for a more productive conversation later. Another everyday example can be found in disagreements. Often in arguments, the urge to interrupt or push our perspective can overshadow the importance of truly hearing the other person out. Patience, in this case, allows us to listen fully before responding, demonstrating that we value their thoughts even if we do not entirely agree. This not only de-escalates tension but opens the door to solutions grounded in mutual respect. Developing patience also means accepting that change takes time. Whether it is a friend overcoming a bad habit or a family member working through personal struggles, impatience often leads to disappointment or strained relationships. By embracing the Stoic principle that we cannot force others to change but can only control our own attitudes, we cultivate a supportive and non-judgmental presence. This patience signals to others that we are willing to stand by them as they grow, strengthening the bond of trust and care. Marcus Aurelius once advised, "Take full account of what the moment is worth." This ties beautifully into the practice of patience, reminding us that every moment of waiting or conflict holds the potential for growth, reflection, and connection. By choosing patience, we shift from reacting impulsively to acting with intention, creating an environment where relationships can thrive. With this exploration of patience, we now prepare to uncover practical tools and exercises to help further embed this virtue into our daily lives. Moving forward, strengthening patience requires more than just the desire to remain calm. It involves actively cultivating habits and practices that build this vital skill over time. One straightforward yet powerful technique is deep breathing. When faced with irritation or misunderstanding, taking slow, deliberate breaths helps to ground you in the present and reduces the surge of impulsive emotions. For example, try inhaling deeply for a count of 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6. This not only calms the mind but also gives you a moment to pause and reflect before reacting. Another effective exercise is mental imagery. Picture yourself as a sturdy tree in the middle of a storm. The wind may howl and the branches may sway, but the trunk stands firm, rooted deeply into the ground. This visualization reminds you of the strength and steadiness you can bring to challenging moments, helping you endure discomfort without losing composure. Similarly, practicing patience can be enhanced by embracing small, everyday opportunities to wait without frustration. For instance, when standing in a long line or stuck in traffic, instead of succumbing to annoyance, take the moment as a chance to practice mindfulness. Focus on your surroundings or connect with your breath, reminding yourself that you are cultivating patience for more significant moments in life. Another practical tip is to reframe your perspective on delays or challenges by viewing them as part of life's natural flow rather than obstacles to your plans. This mindset aligns with the Stoic belief that we cannot control external events but can control how we respond to them. When you intentionally shift your view, what might initially feel like an inconvenience can become an opportunity for growth. Lastly, journaling offers a practical way to strengthen patience. Dedicate a few minutes each day to reflecting on moments when you felt impatient. What triggered the emotion and how could you respond differently next time? By regularly reviewing these instances, you create awareness of patterns and develop strategies to respond with greater calm and understanding. Remember, patience, like any virtue, is a skill that improves with practice. These exercises not only help you remain composed in difficult situations, but also foster a sense of inner peace, benefiting both you and your relationships. As we build on this foundation of patience, we now transition to a critical aspect of connection, cultivating gratitude. With the next phase of the journey in sight, cultivating gratitude emerges as a cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, deeply relevant to nurturing our relationships. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we have rather than lamenting what we lack, an approach that fosters profound appreciation for the people who enrich our lives. By expressing gratitude, we create a foundation of positivity and mutual respect, strengthening the bonds we share with others. Imagine reflecting on a simple yet meaningful moment, like a friend checking in on you during a hard time or a loved one preparing a meal for the family. These acts, however small, are opportunities to pause and feel genuine appreciation for the effort and care invested in your well-being. The renowned Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to cherish those around him, recognizing their virtues and contributions. Following this example, you can make it a practice to actively acknowledge and express thanks to those who make a difference in your life. For instance, take a moment to send a heartfelt message to a friend or partner, or simply tell them directly how much their support means to you. This simple gesture can have a profound effect, not only on their day but also on the depth of your connection. Another way to cultivate gratitude is by shifting focus during moments of irritation or conflict. Instead of fixating on what frustrates you about someone, deliberately identify at least one quality or action of theirs that you admire or appreciate. This reframing can soften tension and remind you of the value they bring into your life. Furthermore, embracing a daily gratitude practice can transform your outlook. Spend a few minutes each evening reflecting on 3 things you are grateful for about the people in your life. Write them down in a journal or simply contemplate them. Over time, this habit rewires your perspective, making gratitude an instinctive response rather than an afterthought. Gratitude also aligns with the Stoic principle of recognizing impermanence. Reminding ourselves that nothing lasts forever, including relationships, can deepen our appreciation for the time we do have with loved ones. This mindset encourages us to treasure the present moment, fostering a sense of mindfulness and presence in our interactions. By integrating gratitude into your daily life, you not only enhance your relationships but also cultivate a sense of contentment and inner peace that radiates outward to those around you. As we continue this exploration, let us delve into how resolving conflicts rationally can further deepen our connections. With the next phase of the journey in sight, exploring practical ways to weave gratitude into your daily routine offers tangible methods to fortify your relationships. One of the simplest yet impactful practices is regularly expressing appreciation. This could be as easy as thanking your partner for a small gesture, like brewing morning coffee, or acknowledging a friend for simply being there when you needed them. These moments of recognition, though seemingly minor, build a culture of mutual respect and positivity over time. Another powerful tool is maintaining a gratitude journal specifically centered on your relationships. Each day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you appreciate about the people in your life. It could be their kindness, a recent act of support, or even a shared laugh that brightened your day. By documenting these moments, you create a lasting reminder of the positive contributions others make to your life, and it shifts your focus away from daily irritations or conflicts. For example, after a disagreement with a colleague or family member, revisit your journal to recall what you value about that person. This practice can help reframe your perspective and foster a sense of forgiveness and understanding. Additionally, consider making gratitude a part of your conversations. Take a moment to articulate your appreciation directly to someone, whether through a heartfelt message or a face-to-face interaction. Think about how uplifted you feel when someone genuinely thanks you. It can be equally meaningful when you offer the same gesture. And if words feel insufficient, showing gratitude through actions, like a thoughtful favor or a small gift, can also deepen emotional bonds. Lastly, embrace a mindful approach during shared experiences. Whether it is a family dinner, a casual walk with a friend, or a quiet evening with your partner, pause for a moment to mentally acknowledge the value of that time together. The more intentional you become about recognizing these moments, the more naturally gratitude will flow into your interactions. These practices not only nurture your relationships, but also cultivate a positive mindset that benefits your overall well-being. As we move forward, let us examine the role of rational conflict resolution in building stronger, healthier connections. With the next phase of the journey in sight, let us explore how resolving conflicts rationally can transform our relationships. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on rational thought, teaching us to respond to challenges with a clear and composed mindset. When disagreements arise, emotions often take center stage, leading to reactions that escalate the situation rather than resolve it. By applying Stoic principles, we can train ourselves to pause, reflect, and approach conflicts with a level head. For instance, instead of reacting impulsively during an argument, a Stoic practice would be to take a moment to identify whether the issue at hand is something within your control. If it is not, learning to let go of the urge to control the outcome can prevent unnecessary frustration. However, if the matter is within your influence, approaching it with logic and empathy opens the door to constructive dialogue. Imagine a scenario where a disagreement with a partner or friend begins to heat up. Instead of letting anger dictate your response, you might calmly express your perspective and, more importantly, genuinely listen to theirs. This creates an environment where both parties feel heard and respected, diffusing tension and fostering understanding. Another Stoic tool is depersonalizing conflicts. Often, we interpret disagreements as personal attacks, which only deepens resentment. Epictetus reminds us that people act based on their perceptions of good and bad. Recognizing this can help you view the other person's behavior as a reflection of their beliefs or circumstances, rather than a targeted offense. This shift in perspective enables you to respond with patience and compassion rather than defensiveness. Additionally, focusing on shared goals rather than individual grievances can be a game changer. Instead of arguing over differences, redirect the conversation toward finding common ground. For example, in a work setting, instead of clashing over who is right, shift the dialogue to what solution best serves the team or project. This collaborative approach not only resolves the immediate conflict, but also strengthens the relationship for future interactions. Rational conflict resolution does not mean suppressing emotions entirely, but rather channeling them in a way that promotes clarity and mutual respect. By prioritizing calm reflection over rash reactions, we can turn disagreements into opportunities for growth and connection. As we continue, let us delve into practical tools inspired by Stoicism to further enhance rational conflict resolution and build lasting harmony in our relationships. Now turning to practical tools inspired by Stoicism, let us uncover specific techniques to enhance rational conflict resolution and foster constructive outcomes. One powerful method is the practice of depersonalizing arguments. When we feel attacked during a disagreement, it is easy to take things personally, which can cloud our judgment and escalate tension. Instead, consider the Stoic perspective that people act based on their own beliefs and circumstances. By reminding yourself that their words or actions are not necessarily directed at your character but stem from their own worldview, you can disengage from emotional reactions and respond with patience and understanding. Another essential tool is shifting the focus from blame to shared goals. Often, conflicts intensify because the conversation revolves around assigning fault rather than finding solutions. For instance, imagine a disagreement with a close friend about plans that fell through. Instead of dwelling on who is at fault, redirect the discussion toward how you can work together to make future plans more reliable. This shift not only resolves the immediate issue but also strengthens your bond by emphasizing collaboration over conflict. Additionally, Stoicism encourages us to pause and assess the root of a conflict before reacting. Taking a moment to breathe and reflect allows you to approach the situation with clarity rather than being swept up in the heat of the moment. A simple practice is to ask yourself questions like, is this issue truly significant in the grand scheme of things? Or, what outcome would align with my values and strengthen this relationship? This mindset helps to distinguish between minor irritations and meaningful discussions, ensuring your energy is directed toward what truly matters. Lastly, practicing active listening during disagreements can transform the dynamic entirely. This involves not only hearing the words being spoken, but also understanding the emotions and intentions behind them. For example, if a family member expresses frustration over something you said, instead of interrupting or formulating your defense, take the time to restate their concerns to show you genuinely understand their perspective. This simple act of validation often diffuses anger and paves the way for a more open, productive dialogue. By applying these Stoic tools, such as depersonalizing arguments, focusing on shared goals, pausing to reflect, and truly listening, we can transform conflicts from divisive challenges into opportunities for growth and connection. As we move forward, let us explore how the Stoic principle of setting healthy boundaries plays a crucial role in nurturing and maintaining meaningful relationships. Moving forward, let us delve into the Stoic principle of setting healthy boundaries and how it can profoundly impact the quality of our relationships. Boundaries are essential because they define where others end and where we begin, allowing us to maintain both connection and individuality. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and decisions, while respecting that others are responsible for their own behaviors. This perspective is invaluable when establishing boundaries, as it encourages us to communicate our needs clearly and calmly without trying to control how others respond. For instance, imagine a scenario where a friend repeatedly cancels plans at the last minute, leaving you feeling frustrated and undervalued. Instead of reacting with anger or internalizing resentment, a Stoic approach would involve calmly expressing how this pattern affects you and setting a clear expectation moving forward, such as requesting advance notice to plan accordingly. This not only respects your time and feelings, but also gives the other person an opportunity to reflect on their actions without feeling attacked. Additionally, setting boundaries is not solely about saying no, but also about recognizing when to say yes in a way that aligns with your values. Stoicism emphasizes living in harmony with nature, which translates to fostering relationships that support mutual growth and understanding. By practicing self-awareness and reflecting on what truly matters to you, you can ensure that your boundaries are born from a place of self-respect rather than fear or avoidance. For example, if a family member frequently seeks your help yet you feel overextended, Stoicism would guide you to strike a balance. You might choose to assist them in ways that feel manageable while politely declining when their requests compromise your well-being. This balance preserves the relationship while ensuring you remain true to yourself. Moreover, respecting others' boundaries is equally important. Stoic teachings remind us of the inherent dignity in every individual, encouraging empathy and understanding for their personal limits and choices. By acknowledging and honoring the boundaries of those around us, we foster an atmosphere of mutual respect that strengthens connections. In essence, setting healthy boundaries is about creating a framework for relationships that honors both your individuality and your connections with others. It is an act of kindness not only to yourself but also to those you care about, as it promotes authenticity and prevents misunderstandings. As we continue, let us explore how maintaining respectful boundaries can further deepen our empathy and promote harmony in our relationships. Now turning to maintaining respectful boundaries, it is essential to approach this with clear communication and a sense of empathy. When expressing your boundaries, focus on clarity and assertiveness while ensuring your words convey respect for the other person's perspective. For example, rather than making demands, frame your needs as personal preferences or feelings. Instead of saying, "You always interrupt me when I'm talking," try, "I feel unheard when I'm interrupted, and I'd appreciate being allowed to finish my thoughts." This shifts the conversation away from potential blame and opens the door for mutual understanding. Stoicism teaches us to manage our tone and emotions carefully in these moments, ensuring that our approach aligns with our values of patience and kindness. Another practical tip is to use "I" statements to avoid sounding accusatory, instead focusing on how the situation affects you. For instance, if someone frequently oversteps your boundaries by showing up unannounced, you might say, "I value our time together and would appreciate it if we could plan visits in advance so I can give you my full attention." This communicates your boundary in a way that is both firm and considerate. Additionally, be prepared to listen when others set their boundaries. A Stoic mindset encourages us to respect the autonomy of others and understand their limitations without taking it personally. For example, if a close friend shares that they need some space to focus on personal matters rather than feeling rejected, you can acknowledge their needs and offer your support by saying, "I understand you need some time and want you to know I'm here if you need anything." This approach reflects emotional maturity and reinforces mutual respect in the relationship. Maintaining respectful boundaries is a two-way street. It requires both self-assertion and a willingness to honor the boundaries of others. By practicing these principles, we not only protect our own well-being but also nurture trust and understanding in our relationships. As we move forward, let us delve into the Stoic practice of forgiveness and how it can transform conflicts into opportunities for growth and connection. Now turning to the Stoic practice of forgiveness, we find a powerful tool for emotional liberation and relationship repair. Stoicism teaches us that holding onto anger or resentment only weighs us down, as these emotions fall outside of our control. By choosing to forgive, we are not condoning hurtful actions but rather reclaiming our peace and focusing on what we can control, our own responses. Imagine someone close to you has wronged you, and while the initial emotional reaction might be anger or disappointment, a Stoic approach encourages reflection. Ask yourself, is this grudge serving me? Is it helping me grow or strengthening my relationship? Most often, the answer will be no. Forgiveness allows us to release this emotional burden. Think of it as setting down a heavy bag you've been carrying for too long. You feel lighter, freer, and more capable of moving forward. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once advised that we should consider the flaws of others with the same patience we extend to our own shortcomings, understanding that no one is perfect, including ourselves. This perspective shifts our mindset from one of judgment to one of compassion. A practical way to start practicing forgiveness is to reframe the situation. Instead of focusing on the harm caused, consider the intentions or circumstances behind the other person's actions. For example, if a colleague speaks harshly to you during a stressful project, recognizing that their behavior might stem from external pressure can help you let go of resentment. Another technique is to remind yourself of the impermanence of emotions and the fleeting nature of life. Will this conflict matter in a week, a month, a year? Placing events in a broader perspective often makes them seem less significant, easing the process of forgiveness. Additionally, forgiveness strengthens relationships by opening the door to reconciliation and mutual understanding. By letting go of grudges, we make space for growth, both in ourselves and in our connection with others. Imagine telling a close friend, "I was hurt by what happened, but I value our relationship and want to move forward." This not only demonstrates your emotional maturity, but also creates an opportunity for the other person to reflect and grow. Practicing forgiveness does not mean you have to forget what happened or allow harmful behavior to continue. It is about choosing not to let past hurts dictate your future interactions. By embracing forgiveness as a Stoic virtue, we learn to focus on our own growth and cultivate healthier, more resilient relationships. Moving forward, let us explore how being present in our relationships can deepen our connections and enrich our shared experiences. Moving forward, let us delve deeper into Stoic strategies for overcoming resentment, a vital step in freeing ourselves emotionally and fostering stronger relationships. One powerful Stoic approach is to reflect on the impermanence of life. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that life is fleeting and that holding on to negative emotions consumes precious time we could spend on more meaningful pursuits. When resentment surfaces, pause and ask yourself, in the grand scheme of life, does this grievance truly deserve so much of my energy and attention? Shifting your perspective in this way can help dissolve the intensity of negative feelings. Another effective strategy is embracing human fallibility. The Stoics teach us that making mistakes is an inherent part of being human. Instead of focusing on the perceived wrongs done to us, consider the likelihood that the other person acted out of ignorance, misunderstanding, or their own struggles. Epictetus famously said that when someone acts poorly, it is because they do not truly grasp what is good or right. By viewing others through this lens of empathy, we can soften our resentment and approach situations with greater understanding. A practical exercise to put this into practice is journaling. Write down the event that caused resentment and explore it from every angle. What were the circumstances? Could the other person have been facing challenges of their own? How might you have responded differently? This reflective process can help you uncover insights that ease feelings of anger. Finally, take a moment to recognize how holding onto resentment impacts your own well-being. Ask yourself, am I holding onto this grudge because it serves me or because I have not yet chosen to let it go? Often, you will find that resentment acts as a barrier, preventing you from experiencing peace and fulfillment. By consciously deciding to release it, you reclaim your emotional freedom. Letting go of resentment does not mean you dismiss harmful actions or fail to address issues, but rather that you choose to prioritize your inner calm and growth. When we adopt these Stoic strategies, we not only lighten our emotional load, but also pave the way for deeper empathy, compassion, and resilience in our relationships. Now, let us explore how being fully present in our relationships can enrich our lives and create meaningful connections with those we care about most. Now turning to the importance of being fully present in our relationships, Stoicism teaches us the profound value of focusing on the here and now. When we allow ourselves to be distracted or consumed by thoughts of the past or worries about the future, we rob ourselves and our loved ones of genuine connection. The Stoics emphasize that the present moment is the only time truly within our grasp, and by immersing ourselves fully in it, we cultivate more meaningful and fulfilling interactions. Imagine sitting with a loved one, but your mind is elsewhere, replaying an old argument or planning tomorrow's to-do list. In that moment, you are physically there but emotionally absent. This creates a distance that can weaken the bond you share. Instead, Stoicism encourages us to actively engage and focus on what is unfolding before us. When someone speaks to you, listen intently without letting your mind drift. A Stoic practice that can help with this is to periodically remind yourself, this moment will never come again. This awareness fosters a sense of gratitude and prompts us to give our undivided attention to those we care about. Another way to practice presence is by limiting distractions. In today's world, it is easy to be pulled away by notifications, screens, or multitasking. the Stoics would remind us that our energy is best spent on what truly matters, and that often means setting aside these distractions to be fully present with the people who enrich our lives. For example, consider the impact of putting your phone away during dinner or dedicating uninterrupted time to a conversation. These small but intentional acts demonstrate to others that they are valued, and they deepen the connection shared. The simplicity of being present also extends to how we approach conflicts or challenges in relationships. Instead of letting unresolved past grievances or future anxieties cloud our judgment, a Stoic mindset directs us to deal with the issue at hand clearly and rationally. This allows us to address problems without unnecessary emotional weight, focusing instead on constructive solutions. By embracing this approach, we not only strengthen our relationships, but also experience the joy and fulfillment that come from truly living in the moment. In this way, Stoicism reminds us that being present is not just a skill but a gift we offer to ourselves and those around us. With this understanding of presence, let us move forward to wrap up our exploration of how Stoicism can profoundly enhance our relationships in countless ways. Moving forward, let us explore how we can make the practice of presence a part of our everyday lives by embracing Stoic-inspired techniques. One effective approach is to integrate mindfulness exercises into your routine. For instance, before engaging with loved ones, take a moment to pause and breathe deeply. Focus on the sensations around you, the sound of their voice, the expression on their face, or the warmth in the room. This simple practice helps ground you, bringing your attention back to the present and enhancing your ability to connect meaningfully. Another powerful technique is identifying and consciously limiting distractions. Start small, such as designating specific times during the day to set aside your phone or stepping away from other screens when spending time with family or friends. This act of dedicating your full attention sends a clear message to those around you. They are important and their presence in your life matters. The Stoics also teach us to reframe our mindset to better appreciate the moment. Remind yourself that each interaction is fleeting and unique, never to be repeated in exactly the same way. This awareness can deepen your sense of gratitude and make even ordinary moments feel extraordinary. For example, whether you are sharing a meal, walking together, or simply sitting quietly with someone you care about, acknowledge the gift of that shared time. Additionally, practicing regular reflection can strengthen your commitment to presence. At the end of the day, take a few minutes to think back on your interactions. Ask yourself, was I truly present? Did I offer my full attention to those I cherish? Identifying areas for improvement allows you to approach the next day with greater intention and focus. By incorporating such practices into your daily life, you cultivate consistent habits that reinforce your ability to fully engage with loved ones. These small but significant efforts create a ripple effect, enriching relationships with authenticity and warmth. In the hustle of our busy lives, practicing presence is not always easy, but Stoicism reminds us that the effort is deeply worthwhile. Through mindfulness, limiting distractions, reframing our mindset, and regular reflection, we can transform the way we connect with those we care about, fostering relationships built on genuine attention and understanding. As we conclude, let us revisit the 15 transformative ways Stoicism can improve your relationships. From practicing emotional control to deepen communication, to embracing empathy, patience, and gratitude, these principles provide a framework for building stronger, more meaningful connections. By accepting imperfections, focusing on virtues, and letting go of unrealistic expectations, Stoicism teaches us to approach relationships with understanding and compassion. Through rational conflict resolution, setting healthy boundaries, and practicing forgiveness, we learn to navigate challenges with grace and mutual respect. And finally, by being fully present and reflecting on our actions daily, we can foster authenticity and warmth in every relationship. These timeless teachings remind us that while relationships require effort, the rewards are profound. If you found value in this exploration, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more insights on Stoicism and personal growth. Together, let us continue to apply ancient wisdom in creating modern harmony. Thank you for watching, and may your relationships flourish with clarity, intention, and love.